What's going on, guys? Matthew back again, this time for another political video. A lot of stories today, a lot of crazy stories, as normal, as these past, I guess, 10 years have been. But we've got 4 different stories here about USAID shredding documents, an airline cheating scandal for the air traffic control test based on DEI and trying to get more non-white people involved. There's also the story about the JFK files involving Tom Cotton and if he actually blocked access or not, according to Tucker Carlson. And then finally, a crazy story about a hearing where some crazy dude was screaming because one representative will not refer to another representative as ma'am when he was in fact a man. So let's get into it. First story we have here is from Politico. This USAID official tells remaining staffers shred and burn all your documents. If you don't know what USAID is, it's the United States Agency for International Development. So many people would probably tell you that it's for adding democracy across the globe and good stuff like that, when really it's probably about lining people's pockets with money. The mass document destruction order marks the latest step to dismantle the agency. And here we have the actual email that was sent to Miss Erica, let me see, I think it's right here, Erica Carr. And it reads, "Good afternoon. Thank you for your assistance in clearing our classified safes and personnel documents from the RRB. I'm not sure what the RRB is. Let me see what that is. Okay, so according to this, it's the Ronald Reagan building in D.C., I assume. The event will take place all day tomorrow, March 11th, beginning at 9:30 a.m. Please meet at the Ronald Reagan building, 14th Street lobby at 9:30 a.m. However, if you cannot be there at that exact time, your badge will be programmed for access to your work area. Shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break." That tells you that they're going to be shredding a lot of stuff if it becomes unavailable and needs a break. If you need to use the burn bags, do not overfill and ensure the burn bag can be closed with staples at the top. The only labeling required on the burn bags are the words secret and USAID, and I think that says B/10, and dark Sharpie if possible. If you need additional burn bags or Sharpie markers, please let me or the SEC InfoSec team know. Thank you so much. Acting Executive Secretary, USAID. And actually, I misspoke earlier. Erica Carr is the one that sent that out, apparently. And here we actually have, believe it or not, MSNBC actually doing their job and reporting on it. Let's see what they have to say.
But NBC News is reporting this. USAID staff is being told to shred and burn all their classified documents. Quote, "The U.S. Agency for International Development is instructing its staff in Washington to shred and burn documents," according to an email obtained by NBC News. The document destruction was set to take place Tuesday, according to an email from Erica Carr, the agency's acting executive secretary. Quote, "Shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break," Carr wrote. I worked in government for almost a decade. I've never heard of so much shredding being required that you would know ahead of time that, quote, "the shredder would become unavailable or need a break." What is that about?
Right. I actually this morning I got a message from somebody who left USAID earlier this year and passed along this email to me. And my response is naturally, is this standard operating procedure? And this individual said no, that they had never heard about burning or shredding of federal records at USAID. But then again, this individual told me they've never heard of the entire agency being gutted and their headquarters at the Ronald Reagan building being shut down. When are documents, burned by the State Department or USAID? Typically at an embassy when it is about to be overtaken, Marines have the authorization as a means of ensuring that classified records and personnel data do not get in the hands of individuals who are seen as threats. They do go and burn documents, but that's not what this situation is here. And I was talking to a national security records lawyer here who has already sent to the National Archives a demand to have the records stop from being destroyed. We should note that this was all taking place today here. And the way that this lawyer put it to me was that this is number one.
And it's so frustrating because it just feels like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are doing nothing. They're just sitting on their hands while all this stuff is being shredded. It's not just this. It's also the Epstein stuff. there just seems to be a large lack of urgency in trying to get all this information.
Of a violation of the Federal Records Act, but number two, that there is a standard operating procedure when it comes to processing records. And unless all of these records were digitized or there was a clarity that, for example, records older than 10 years old that have been appropriately deemed by necessary officials as no longer having to be archived, may be terminated, those can then be ultimately destroyed. But this email is very explicit to these individuals who received it. Quote, shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break. They were directed to go.
Also, why is this Erica Carr? Why is she going to think that that email is not going to leak out? How stupid are these people?
And clear out these classified safes and personnel documents from what used to be USAID headquarters. And Marco Rubio, the State Department that is now overseeing USAID, they just earlier this week said that 83% of the contracts that USAID oversaw have been eliminated. And the way the USAID official suggested to me is that if they're truly trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, many of these documents would have records as to exactly where payments have gone and how contracts have ultimately been executed across the world. And so if you are shredding and burning these documents, you are effectively removing a paper trail that could be paramount to actually understanding.
And you should go to prison as well.
How USAID has executed and used its capacities overseas, and so much of that could be understood by these archived documents that were clearly been ordered today to be burned and destroyed.
Wow. Okay, and while we have that going on, we also seem to have a Black Lives Matter supporter sending test answers to non-white people who are trying to join the air traffic control, which could definitely put lives at risk if they're not properly trained. And it could be a reason why we see all these planes going down recently. And we know that they've started DEI hiring practices under the Biden administration. So now it puts you in a situation to where if you see a black pilot or a black female pilot, you have to ask yourself, was this person properly trained or are they a DEI hire? And it puts you in a situation where you could be called racist for even thinking that. So if that was the plan all along, that's really clever and it's really evil. But let's listen to this guy. He's apparently going to be giving out test answers to air traffic control.
Washington Suburban Associate members, brothers and sisters, listen. It's been a really busy time for me these past 4 days. I know that each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement. And trust, after tonight, you will be able to do so. I am asking that you give me another 15 or 16 hours. Allow me to go to work and come home, provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. There are some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of, and I'm going to send that to you via email. Trust and believe it will be something that you will appreciate to the utmost. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given. Today when I get off at 11 o'clock, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that email. I'm going to send it to each of you, and as you progress through the stages, refer to those images so that you will know which icons you should select. Now, I have a good mind to send it to one of my HR representatives first and give them the opportunity to sign off on it before you actually click it. But
Why would they
in
sign
the sake
off
of
on that?
time, I'm going to send it directly to you because I'm about 99.99% sure that it's exactly how you need to answer each question in order to get through the first phase. People have been getting rejection notices, and those rejection notices have been coming after about 24 to 36 hours after clicking submit. And I want to avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our time and We're going to make sure that everything that we click on, and you're going to even have to go back to your resume and make some changes because one of our members and I have caught something, and we want to go back and we want to fine-tune those details. And I guarantee that will give us the very best feeling that we could ever get in applying for this job. VRAs, those that have received tentative offer letters, we want you to apply for this job anyway. Messages came back saying do not give the agency an opportunity to say they never gave you one. So apply for it anyway. For everyone else, stand by to stand by. Later on this evening when I get home, I'm going to finish those emails, and then I'm going to go back to planning for the Black History Month program. And then I'm going to process all new members' enrollment forms. And then I'm going to send out my emails to the managers of the FAA regional headquarters and thanking them for my visit. And then I'm going to get back to handling some important business for the VRAs. I think we may have an opportunity, VRAs, to do something that others probably would find impossible. I found that answer talking to people in HR. So give me an opportunity to do what I need to do this evening, and I guarantee after that you will be able to apply for this job. Thanks a lot. God bless.
Wow. Okay. So that's the thing is that there are some black people who have this mentality that, it's always us against the man and we have to stick together, which means breaking the rules to help our brothers and sisters. And they're not able to understand that this puts people's lives at risk because you get these people to cheat. They end up at the traffic control tower and they cause plane crashes and death. Little children, wives, husbands, fathers, mothers. And it's just incredible to me that they're not able to, I'm talking about these specific people, are not able to put forth enough thought to even consider other people's lives when they make these stupid decisions. But let's get to the article. And I'll see if I can make this bigger for you. So it says a top DEI activist is caught on voicemail allegedly offering minority air traffic controller candidates the chance to cheat in a make or break entry exam. Shelton Snow, a powerful figure in the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. Why do we have something like that? National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. Stop with that nonsense. Can be heard promising advanced access to test answers in a shocking audio clip obtained by dailymail.com. And we already heard the quotes. Let's see. The inside info was made available in 2014 to African Americans, females, and other minority candidates, but whites were left out of the loop to minimize competition. Exactly how many applicants were able to capitalize on Snow's brazen offer to secure coveted controller jobs responsible for the safety of millions of flyers remains a mystery. So right now, if you're someone who flies a lot, you have to be very worried because you don't know if the person in the traffic control tower knows how to do their job or not and get you on the ground safely. But one former NBC FAE member, Matthew Douglas, told dailymail.com, "I know several people who cheated, and I know several people who are controlling planes as we speak." The voicemail comes to light as President Donald Trump vows to purge DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion from U.S. aviation, among other federal agencies, in the wake of the deadly mid-air collision at Reagan National Airport in January that claimed 67 lives. Snow's message was recorded just weeks after the FAA announced the biggest hiring shakeup in its history during Obama-era push to widen the aperture for women and minorities. Wow. As DailyMail.com exclusively revealed, the federal government agency had controversially replaced its peer-reviewed cognitive exam with a biographical quiz asking things like, how would you describe your ideal job? And classmates would remember me as humble or dominant. Critics say that, I don't know how to pronounce that, quixotic blend of multiple choice questions was designed to screen out elite, mostly white students from FAA accredited college courses who excelled in traditional aptitude tests. Nonetheless, it was proving incredibly tricky for anyone to pass, with a 90% failure rate when Snow decided to intervene, which is good. You want the best of the best in a situation like that. The then president of the NBCFAE's Washington Suburban chapter contacted members in January 2014 with a list of HR buzzwords to insert into job applications. And that's crazy. This has been going on for 10 years. So for all we know, it's just full of people who are not qualified. Let's see. At a separate teleconference, applicants were urged to highlight their association with the NBCFAE, the largest employee association within the FAA. An agenda for the December 2023 powwow read, "This is for us to know who our people are in the case that we have one of our own on the board." See, this whole idea of like y'all's people and my people, our people, like it just really designs chaos. Let's see what this says here. WSC brothers and sisters. Isn't it weird how they call each other brothers and sisters, but black people killed the most black people of anybody? It has been confirmed there will not be a selection panel for the open bid on February 10th. Instead, FAA Human Resources will scan in resumes, and the computer will group resumes based on keywords, aka buzzwords. These buzzwords will flag your resume, thereby giving you the advantage over thousands of resumes that may flood the system. A list of these buzzwords are attached to this email. This list is being provided to you through one of our members in HR. I encourage you to keep a lid of this attachment and focus on your resume. If the entire country caught wind of this attachment, then how will your resume be distinguished from others? After editing your resume using the attached file, resend me your resume for viewing. In the subject line, type amended resume for name. Please keep this email confidential between yourselves and the NBC FAE. The information we share with you is to help members of our organization that has invested in their future through the NBC FAE. In unity, Shelton G. Snow. Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, man. Okay, Snow admitted he had organized a teleconference to walk through the test and explain to each person how they should answer the questions. The Department of Transportation's Office of the Inspector General nonetheless cleared him to continue his FAA career, concluding in 2016 the findings in this investigation did not warrant a referral to a federal prosecutor. How? Snow went on to become the NBC FAE's Northeast Regional Vice President. He was also its top national recruiter for 2012, 13, 14, and 16. When DailyMail.com reached out to Snow to ask for his version of events, he said, "With all due respect, I have no comment. Please do not call this phone again." That's ridiculous. It's just people that do not believe in meritocracy at all. Just give people jobs based on their skin color, and just if people die, oh well. Okay, and the third story here is that Chris Cuomo was recently on Tucker Carlson's podcast, and they were discussing the JFK files and why haven't they been released yet, because again, I've mentioned like a million times, this hand in hand with the Epstein files. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel said that on day one they would release all this stuff, and they've been in their respective positions for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and we haven't heard anything. They'll talk about anything but those things, and it's very frustrating. And Chris Cuomo, I have to give him credit here. I don't really like him that much. He calls out Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson has like direct access to the Trump administration. And why isn't Tucker Carlson trying to get these answers the way that he could if he really wanted to? And also, I'd heard I would have to fact check this. I'm not sure if this is true or not, so don't take my word for it, that Tucker Carlson's dad was a member of the CIA. So is Tucker Carlson a CIA asset? Who knows? But here's that clip where Chris Cuomo and Tucker Carlson discussed the JFK files.
They had quit. Well, where are the files? Where are they? And because I thought Trump was the antidote to this. And where's your boy Kash Patel? I mean, he went in there to supposedly bust all this up.
I can't answer that.
He put out this weird tweet, that was very general, like, things are going to change and we're going to do this and da-da. After we learned that someone under his control now, right, because he's the head of the FBI, in that office that's under him, why wasn't he there? Why didn't he go there and say, give me the files, give them to me?
Weren't you just saying the deep state's not real?
I don't know. I don't believe in the deep state
what
as
the
a
hell
boogeyman.
is going on?
But look, they're his guys. I'm just saying, why didn't he go there and say, give me the...
Right, so Tucker's point is that we could basically have like an ongoing like civil war. What I mean by I don't mean like actual killing people, but civil war within the federal government, at the FBI, CIA, people that actually want the truth, people that want to hide the truth. So Kash Patel, if I'm going to give him any benefit of the doubt, is that yes, he's in charge of the FBI. How many people that work under him are trustworthy? Who can he trust? Who are working against him, shredding documents and things of that nature?
File.
I can't answer that question. I think it's a great question. But let's just use logic for 1 second. Clearly, if you watch this, in my case, for same as you, 35 years, watching this stuff carefully, and somebody gets into office, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then like 5 days later, they're like, well, actually, someone has called that person to say, there's something you didn't know. Here are the consequences of doing that. Someone has applied very serious pressure on this person. Pressure so serious that that person is willing to humiliate himself.
So wait a minute. Here's the part I don't.
So who's that person exerting the pressure?
But you are uniquely qualified to get this answer, because one of us can call the president of the United States right now and ask him, and the other one is me. So why don't you know?
That's a great question.
It's the only kind I ask.
So what I brought to it was the knowledge that a member of the Senate Intel Committee, I'm not guessing, called over and said, you cannot appoint this person.
So why don't you expose that person, first of all, so we can start chasing
Tom
after
Cotton
him?
of Arkansas did that.
Okay, so Tucker Carlson says Tom Cotton from Arkansas, I think he's the senator. He's the one that called and said basically you can't release these files. And I don't know why Tucker's just now saying this. Good on Chris Cuomo for kind of forcing that to happen. But Chris Cuomo is about to ask another good question here in a second.
Tom Cotton.
Yes, correct.
And did you ask him?
I haven't. No, I haven't asked him.
I mean, what the hell's going on with you?
I'd like to. And
kind of makes people suspicious of you, by the way.
Go
because
ahead.
if you know
Go
that
ahead.
if you know that Tom Cotton said you can't pick this person,
That
because,
is correct.
and then you didn't go to him and find out why.
Well, I need to sit down with him, and I'm not sure that he'll do an interview with me.
Well, ask him. I mean, as soon as you found out that it was Tom Cotton, you should have immediately scheduled an interview or screamed it out to the public that Tom Cotton was the guy. It shouldn't take Chris Cuomo of all people to try to force that out of you.
I'm waiting.
You are like the spirit animal
You're
of
waiting.
that administration.
No. But it's a fair question, and the answer is I hadn't thought to do that. And there's a
Okay, that's ridiculous. You find out that Tom Cotton is trying to prevent the release of the JFK files, and then, well, I hadn't thought to talk to him about that. When you're the one screaming on your hill about getting the JFK files and the Epstein files and all this stuff, it really, really makes Tucker look bad.
a lot going on, and I've been
There's a lot going on.
distracted, and I've kind of been
Now I think you're part of the deep state. And
Oh, well,
just
you
like that.
think that I probably wouldn't be saying any of this if I was part of the deep state.
Unless that's what they would do, is make me think that it exists, but you're not sure because it's actually you.
Here's my point.
Please.
I am really concerned, not just because, I am curious and I want to get to the bottom of mysteries, which is true, but I'm really concerned that the failure to disclose big things like details about the murder of a president in a democratic country, republic, that will convince people that our system itself is fake. And it's kind of hard to argue that it's real.
I totally
if you
agree.
can't even know who killed the president.
Transparency is trust.
62 years later, Mike Pompeo was working to keep American citizens from knowing who murdered their president?
Okay, and Tom Cotton did respond to this, saying, he tweeted out, "This is false. I have no problem releasing the JFK files. Had Tucker asked me, I would have told him. He has texted me multiple times in recent weeks, so he knows how to reach me." Then he continues, "I would have explained that I've never spoken to President Trump or his associates or administration officials about the files, never objected to the appointment of any person because of the files, and have complete faith that Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and other officials will release the files as appropriate in accordance with President Trump's directive." So somebody's lying. Tom Cotton's calling Tucker a liar. Tucker saying Tom Cotton's the one that wanted the JFK files to not be released. We have no idea who's telling the truth. I think this makes Tucker look bad. I don't really know who to trust between these two. It's very difficult, but this has to be exposed. We have to find out who's lying and who's telling the truth. Okay, and we're going to end with this really crazy story, but I'm actually happy with how it ended. This is a man right here to your right that calls himself Sarah McBride. It is a man. It's not a woman. It's not a transgender. There's no such thing as a transgender. And we have other representatives, a Republican named Keith Self, who told the truth, referred to him as Mr. And then we have a different representative. Let me see if I can get his name. Bill Keating is the Democrat who began to raise his voice at the fact that the Republican representative was telling the truth. So let's go into this video. This one really lit a fire in me, and I was very happy to see how this Republican handled it, especially given the fact that he was being yelled at for telling the truth. I can confidently say I would not have handled this as well as he would have. I would have either gotten into a shouting match or hit this man for screaming at me for, well, not necessarily screaming, but raising his voice at me for telling the truth and referring to this man right here. If you can see my mouse, that is a man. That is not a woman or a transgender. There's no such thing as that. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, it's
And why is he like the audacity to even ask him to repeat it when he's the chair? That really, really frustrates me.
we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
The standard is telling the truth. That's the standard.
the
Would you
standard-
repeat what you just said when
I-
you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order.
He's out of order for telling the truth, for referring to a man as Mr.
Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
No decency.
I mean,
we will-
I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you
And
introduce...
then he slams his fist on the man. I would have. This kudos to this Republican right here. I would not have handled this well at all.
a duly elected representative the right way.
He did,
This hearing is adjourned.
and then he just ends it. I love that. I love that so much. I love that he stood his ground, looked into the face of a deceiver, two deceivers, and continued to tell the truth, and then just ended it before those crazy people could have gotten any more out of control. I absolutely love that video, and it tells me that we're on the way back to truth and to really just common sense. And guys, that's the video for today. Let me know what your thoughts are on these 4 stories in the comments below. Did I miss anything big? Is there any context that I need? If you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy.